to do, smaller environment, small team, and he thrived. Absolutely.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thrived.
I love how you two are in sync. It's so cute.
Oh, thank you.
Supercar season is done and dusted. It is time for the 2024 LTM Supercar season review. I've even named it.
Nice.
The way we're going to be doing this is because of lack of content. We're going to split it up into 3 parts. That's the gist of it.
Thanks for no one racing over December and January.
But also a lot happened. So
it was a great year.
Oh, exactly.
We want to give, each round,
the jokes aside, we actually do want to flesh it out because there are heaps of talking points. And we're going to start off with Bathurst, Melbourne, and Topor. But before all that happened, all the drama began in January when Brody Kostecki left Erebus.
Yeah, it's like
That
the
was
season.
huge.
The
That was
season
humongous.
started before the season.
Exactly. There you go. So, boys, how do we feel about that now that we know the season's done and dusted and we know the outcomes?
Well, it's nice to know it's all over. That's
Yes.
the biggest thing.
Yeah.
We're moving on. He's moving on. He's leaving. He's going to DJR for next year. Bringing his buddy, Todd Hazelwood, who helped him race the first 2 rounds. He actually did pretty well, I thought.
Speaking of
those
Todd,
first
yeah,
2
he
rounds.
did very well to stand in for Brody for those
Todd-
couple rounds.
Absolutely.
Todd's had an amazing year
Yeah.
in motorsport. I mean, Brody doing that literally kicked off his year. He's the collaboration with TFH, winning the Trans Am title, winning Bathurst. I mean, as a driver that didn't probably wake up after New Year's Eve going, what am I doing this year?
Yeah,
He's had an amazing year.
He's made the worst year his best year.
Yeah, literally. But I think it's really, really fascinating. January when the news broke out and that happened, I mean, there were a lot of people passionate about kostecki and just attacking the team and going at it, and it's your fault. And this is what you
Interviews, remember when Betty and
Yes,
Ryan
that was at
like in
Bathurst.
tears?
They were crying.
It was just a mess.
I still think that was all boohoo. Just
Yeah.
BS.
Coca-Cola running away.
No sponsors.
No sponsors. I mean, the cars had 7 liveries this year?
More.
Yeah, but they're the BJR of the year in terms of liveries.
BJ actually kept their liveries
Exactly,
this year. They
which
actually
was odd.
kept except for the SpongeBob one we mentioned before.
But I think,
weird.
I think Supercars really bounced really well from that because, their reigning champion not being there
was weird.
that was weird. But I mean, the season and kicking off at Bathurst and because Newcastle originally was meant to be the
Even that was
I mean, there's so much happened
That was a
preseason.
mess too.
because I think when this happened, Newcastle was on the bridge on the brink of not happening.
Yeah,
And then it officially got announced as Bathurst. But I've got to say, you are right. Everyone seemed to have recovered well. 9 months later.
Yeah, you get into June, May, and everything was back to normal.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
with Topor when he returned. It was still odd.
Yeah, that was
and
still
felt
weird.
weird.
But I think once they got back down under Perth and whatnot, it was back to normal.
Yeah, because that's what you
'Cause
could.
he-
He
he-
actually noticed when and we'll talk about this later, but he noticed when the pace started to
That's
get back
what I was
up,
about to say.
Yeah. and we saw the old Kostecki again, which was great.
I mean, definitely saw it at Bathurst.
yeah, definitely. But yeah, I mean, what a weird and interesting way for the 2024 season to kick
Yeah.
off. I mean,
It did help us boom.
Yeah.
I did quite like that.
Thank you, Brody.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you very much for drama. And if anybody wants to quit in January this year,
Feel
coming
free.
up, feel free. Let LTM know first, so we can talk about it. But I mean, look, round 1 back at Bathurst. I mean, I was a little bit. For me, Bathurst is the Bathurst 1000.
Yeah,
to
I
go there
didn't like
twice a year was weird.
Yeah, I didn't
Let's
like
be
it.
honest, they've only done it the couple of times they have.
They've done it
to fill
twice
in.
ever.
Yeah,
It's a fill-in. It's not intentional.
Yeah.
It was never. This is the idea.
It's just because New South Wales had an agreement to host the opening
and they
round,
had
and
more
then
tracks.
Newcastle got shut down by their own government.
council.
Their own government shut them down, but yet the government, I don't know.
I wonder
But-
if somebody in government said, "Wouldn't it be nice if we went twice a year to Bathurst?" All right, see ya.
Well, it was kind of cool how they did that though, with the Superfest. Because
that
they
was
started
another
off
reason.
with the,
Yeah.
It started off with this is the reason behind this as well was because there's a max number of events Bathurst can host.
Yeah.
So this was technically one event. So to have Bathurst 12 hour the week before and then straight into Supercars.
Yeah,
But even though there was a gap in between, like it's like a 3-day gap of no racing, it's still considered as one event.
And speaking of Bathurst 12 hour, Rossi is once again confirmed to be coming back.
What car?
To BMW.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that's going to be cool. And obviously, we're going to try and see if we
Hopefully
can.
Technically next month.
How crazy is that?
Oh, yeah.
Which is crazy. Because
Whoa.
they're racing at the end of January.
End of January to the 2nd of February.
Yeah.
But I think what's really, really fascinating in championships, and I've been watching motorsport now for like 21 years. Showing my age here, but I've been watching motorsport for 21 years, and I think what's really, really fascinating is that the way that teammates that are in really, really strong teams, the way that they come out of the gate to assert dominance. And I think what was really fascinating is the way Will Brown came out swinging, going, I'm new in this team. You've been here for a couple of years, but I'm in charge now, and I'm the boss.
Yeah, just because Shane's left doesn't mean we still can't win.
Yeah.
That's basically
But not
what
just
he said.
that, but Tafini, he literally made a statement going,
'cause
I'm number one.
We were kind of tossing and turning about who would dominate the team, who'd be number one. Turns out Will was.
Yeah. And he did really well. And we were saying earlier before you were coming onto the show, the year started off with Feeney winning race 1, Brown winning race 2,
And
the year ended with the exact same result.
Yeah, I think that's really fascinating.
Yeah, good point.
But I think, the way, just the way the whole championship unfolded after that first round, it definitely started, momentum kicked in for Brown, confidence kicked in, and it was the inconsistencies, I guess, of Feeney ultimately that, just gave the title to Brown.
Well, you talk about the dominance, and, Red Bull won the first 5 races of the year. Not only did they dominate Bathurst, but they almost clean swept the whole Grand Prix weekend. It was thanks to Nick Percat for spoiling the party.
Yeah.
And thank you, Nick Percat. That was a great race.
That was a great race.
And then from there, that's when the championship actually exploded. We had winners of Andre Heimgartner through the year, and we'll get into other rounds in later weeks, but, everyone else started to win.
And that's the thing, like at the end of round 2, we thought it was just a 2-horse race.
Yeah.
It didn't end up being that way.
But we
for
thought
a long
it was going
time.
to be another year, Red Bull dominance.
Yeah, exactly.
Shane's gone, but still doesn't make a difference.
But we were talking about it earlier as well. Chaz Mostert, that's where the Red Bull versus Walkinshaw battle started, was at Bathurst. But it's funny because he had a poor pit stop at Bathurst. And we're just saying what could have been, because he had so many pit stop issues or some gremlins or dramas throughout the year, like losing a wheel in Topor.
But this is where you've met him, actually. You met David from Red Bull when we were going.
Yes.
Yeah. And I guess this shows the level of quality that Triple Eight is as an organization.
Oh, yeah. There's never a doubt in that.
They are like the level of working for that organization is so high. They are so professional. Every little tiny detail that they can squeeze out of those cars, and just as an organization. I mean, it is, as much as, the 4 teams don't like to admit it, it is the pinnacle at the moment as far as professionalism.
Oh, yeah. Never been a doubt. The only team to probably match them at one point was the Penske organization.
Yeah.
When they came in, they showed them how
Oh,
to
yeah.
really do it. But then I think after they left, maybe they took some notes down. I don't know. But
they came, showed that they can win, and then they just see ya.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, McLaughlin left, and then that was the end of that.
Yeah. But speaking of Walkinshaw, as we said, Ryan Wood, first year in the main game, he had a horrible start to the year. Didn't even finish a single race. He was on the same points as Kostecki, funny enough.
Yeah, at one point.
But it was a baptism of fire. Starting your first ever supercar race at Bathurst is no easy feat.
He got taken out at
He
turn
got
one.
taken out at turn 1. He didn't even get to do a lap. That's the thing. And I remember that LeBrock also didn't even get to start because he had got stuck as well. Cam Waters had some drama losing a wheel, which we saw, which I
Aaron Love
reminded.
as well.
Aaron Love had, he had hell. Jackson Evans as well. Like I said, all the rookies. But
it's crazy to start the season at the hardest track in the world.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
But then the series headed to Melbourne, and that was epic. We were worried heading into the weekend. We thought it was going to be the last weekend we'll ever see them at the Grand Prix.
That was more for just the setup of it.
Yeah, setup in that.
It was
but
weird
because it was a sprint race with soft tires.
No paddock. They've just lost the main straight garages. You know, it's a bit of a mess. But seems like this year they've fixed that issue.
Yeah, exactly.
With fans allowed to attend the Supercars paddock again at the Grand Prix.
I mean,
really good. Weird spot, but
next year is just going to be insane. I mean,
next year's really good.
The first round again of the year,
Sydney,
Hamilton. Oh no, sorry, about Formula One.
Sorry, go on.
Hamilton, you know, with Ferrari. I mean, that
event's gonna be nuts.
Yeah, it's gonna be
crazy. Absolutely.
Nuts.
And now that Supercars are back in it, and I actually really liked this year's race, and we'll get into that in a moment. I'm so pumped for next year's. Definitely, absolutely. All right, so yeah, as we were saying before, Melbourne was really exciting. Almost had a Red Bull dominant weekend until someone named Mick Percat, who had a terrible 23 season, switched to Matt Stone Racing in 24, and he obviously, you know, positively, so positive.
Less things to do, smaller environment, small team, and he thrived. Absolutely.
There you go.
Yeah,
thrived. Winning,
I love how you two are in sync. It's so cute.
Oh, thank you. Oh dear.
Wow.
End the show. Anyway,
Do you want to swap seats?
no, I'm good. Anyway,
okay. Well, that just ended. All right, cool.
Yeah. Anyway, continuing on. Obviously he thrived in the new environment, and it wasn't the only time in the year that he had success. There was a few other times as well where he was up the front and contending for race wins and whatnot.
Well, Matt Stone Racing and Premier Racing as well. They both in similar boats. They did really well overall this season.
The midfield, I don't even think you can call it midfield
What's
anymore.
a midfield?
Yeah, well,
It's tight in Supercars right now.
Yeah.
Like the competition level is really, really close. Maybe race pace, you know. So you know, there's still quite a bit of a gap between teams, but it's getting closer and closer and closer. These new cars definitely have done that as well. I think Percat could potentially be a wild card for next year as well, as far as results. I mean, everybody's looking again at, you know, Walkinshaw and, you know, Triple Eight, but, you know, we've seen it before. I mean, we've seen teams come out with one star driver and do really well.
Well, I think the thing that, obviously, we won't talk about it too much today, but next year's calendar makes it a lot more interesting. And then also the finals thing makes it even better. So drivers like Nick Percat, all you need to do is have success from one round to get you to the next stage of the finals, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So next year you could throw obviously the whole final system is going to throw a curveball anyway. But what you mentioned there, like these little teams have the opportunities now. This is kind of the point I'm trying to bring up. These teams have even more of an opportunity to have more success next year than they've ever had.
Well, the thing is, Gen 3's copped a lot of hate for with all the new regulations. Every car is practically identical. There's not a lot of R&D between each team, but it has seen a lot of the little teams manage to have a chance and opportunity to move up. And I hope we do get to see the R&D side of things come back. Maybe not as extreme as what it was in the past.
Yeah, I think that makes a bit of a mess because then they keep questioning things and they change one thing, then it makes the other car worse. I reckon just kind of leave it.
The issue is qualifying is, Shane Van Gisbergen makes a good point. The qualifying is as epic as anything. It's the best it's ever been in the 60 odd years, but the racing does lack because of that, because of the identical.
But that's also karting. Same thing happens in karting. People talk about 0.2 of a second covers 20 people, but then look at the race. Look at the gap.
Yeah, but it's also like what Greg Russ told us. If you're not changing things, you're never going to know what's going to happen.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, they've got Gen 3 cars. Qualifying's great. Yes, the racing was a bit crappy. But then now look at it. 2 years later.
Gen 3's had a good year.
Everyone loves it.
Yeah.
They've even brought another manufacturer into the game. That's just how you got to let things evolve.
With potentially more manufacturers. Like the thing about MotoGP at the moment, the level is so high. Then they're going to go and do it all again and bring new regulations, and then everybody has to catch up again. Someone's going to lead. Everyone else has to play catch up again.
Same with F1.
I mean, 2026, I mean, apart from the engine sounds are going to be back to 20,000 RPM, everything else is questionable. The size of the car, how the engines are going to run.
Well, are the sounds back?
The sound is back.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the sound is coming back.
Thank goodness.
Apparently, it's going to scream.
Not just a speaker or something.
Maybe it's a speaker, whatever it is.
Low battery.
Yeah. You get more efficiency engines, but more sound. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, well, apparently, obviously, you know, everybody complained about the sound when they first came out.
Yeah, terrible.
But what makes Supercars Gen 3 good, though, is, obviously the little teams, but yes, the car's the same. It's very similar to IndyCar as well. It's all down to how the team operates.
Oh yeah, IndyCar is the best version.
Everyone's complaining about, AAA. Oh yeah, they dominate ever since they began in 2003. But realistically, they do the hard work. They actually work together to get it done. It's not always about the car, and Gen 3 has proved that in a way. Yes, they build the cars for the teams, but still, at the end of the day, it's the teams that, make it work. Because Matt Stone Racing, they have good days and bad days. It just shows.
The best teams always come back, and they always end up coming back on top. I mean, MotoGP right now, you got Honda and Yamaha struggling, but they're pouring a whole bunch of money into it, and eventually they're going to come back. I mean, it's just how it is. But in terms of the first 3 rounds of Supercars, it was a fantastic way to kick off a season. And the exciting thing is that as we go along in this journey of reminding everybody what happened, is we actually remember some of the moments as well that took place.
Well, let's go to the highlight of probably 2024. No, after that. I reckon after that, let's move on to New Zealand.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They were back in Taupo.
Yes.
Well, not back, so I've never raced it before. And
so back in New Zealand.
Back in New Zealand. But brand new track. That's what I'm saying, the evolution bit. You got to try new things. Brand new track.
Kostecki back.
Kostecki was back. They did Track to Town for the first time, which is, as we've seen, is unbelievably successful.
We praised the hell out of
Unbelievable. And then we had a New Zealand victor in Andre Heimgardner. We saw a lot of crashes, a lot of spills, wet weather races.
DJR returned, double podium.
Yes, that was
Ryan Wood, 4th place finish.
Yeah.
Epic weekend.
That round there, I personally think started the whole year.
Yeah,
and I think race 6 of the Melbourne Grand Prix, and then New Zealand.
Yeah, I agree. And I think when you go to a new circuit, again, no one's been there before. There's no data. It gives people the opportunity to shine compared to your Triple Eight with 27 years of data.
And we saw an epic battle between the 2 Triple Eight guys too. A very clean but epic battle. And Will Brown showed his dominance again.
Yes.
With how he drove that race was excellent. Chaz Mostert, as we said as well, had an awful weekend. He actually had a good Saturday, but horrible Sunday with the pit stop issue and the loose wheel and blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
I think the track also was very different. Not only is it brand new, but the style of tracks very different to what they're usually doing. Like
unique,
a lot of slow corners. Yeah. Mixed with a really, really long back straight.
Especially the final
that last section's weird, but cool at the same time. It brings out some more skills that the drivers would never really normally have.
And look, I mean, New Zealand, I mean, the summer series that they run, I mean, people from all over the world go there because they still want to, stay up to date.
New Zealand's racing is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I saw Yuki Tsunoda was there as well many years ago.
Yeah, I mean, that's where Liam comes from.
Yeah.
Like, they grew up racing there in those kind of categories. And I believe it's Formula Regional New Zealand, which was, huge for him as well.
Colapinto was there as well.
I think
for a video.
So. Yeah. They also do the famous New Zealand Grand Prix. At the beginning of the year, that has seen a lot of stars win.
They have a New Zealand Grand Prix.
Yeah, with Formula. I think it's part of Formula
I think it's the
Regional.
one you just said.
Yeah, right. They have a big. They have the New Zealand series, but they have a big race. Like Shane Gisbergen went there.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because everyone else.
They're in an Aussie racing car.
He did race in an Aussie racing car. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did. He won.
Yeah.
You go on the Aussie racing car website. It says.
Yeah. I've seen footage of him do it.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Imagine you're about to potentially win your first race. You're racing against everyone else that's your level, and then boom, a SVG comes along, and it's like, all right, second it is. Cool. No worries.
All good.
Exactly. But yeah, what a fantastic start to the Gen 3 year. Obviously, it's funny how, the first year of Gen 3 was but it made up in the first couple of rounds of 24. So that was epic. And we will be covering the rest of the season in bits and pieces. So be sure to subscribe to LTM for all of that. We'll be doing a weekly segment where we'll be doing our season review. But in terms of time for the show, at least, that's all we have for now. So thanks everyone who has tuned in and watched or listened wherever you're watching, whether it's Radio Italiana, Spotify, YouTube, you name it. And hope to see you next week. Thanks, Ivan and Alex, for joining me in the studio once again. And we'll see you next time for some more Motorsport Chit Chat.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye for now.
Bye.